whether it is 2004 or whether it is 2026. If the engineer is conscious and is smart enough to build the right solution using the, they will never fall behind. I have seen some engineers, right? They're so terrified because of these AIs and everything. They think AI is going to replace the job. For sure, AI is going to replace the job for those engineers who just think AI as most of the companies' expectation nowadays is like how much product depth the engineer has. No matter whether they're senior, junior, mid-level, the first thing they need to do is like, see, AI is dumb. Still dumb, right? It all depends on how smart enough you are, how you are doing the reasoning and everything.
How do you differentiate the junior developer versus mid-level developer?
The developer who is working for 1 year could be mid-level as well. And the developer who has been working since like 3-4 years could be still junior as well, It depends on whatever agentic AI we have, whatever things we are doing, or all the ChatGPT. We are not building AI solution. We are consuming the AI, ready-made AI solution to make it fit in our day-to-day business activity.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning into this podcast. The goal of this podcast is to bring real software and AI engineers to share their journeys and knowledge. So aspiring technologists like you can learn directly from experienced engineer so you can progress in your career faster. And I can't do this alone without your help. A small favor I'd like to ask from you today is to subscribe the channel. It's completely free to do so. 83% of you who regularly listen to this show has not subscribed. So if you are one of those people, please join us and hit that subscribe button. It's the simplest free things you can do to make this channel better, because every single subscriber plays a huge role to grow the channel, and it helps us to reach our message to somebody who really need this. And as we grow the channel, we can do bigger thing, better thing, and even invite better guests. If you subscribe the channel, I'll make sure I will not let you down. If I do, let me know and hit that unsubscribe button. But I promise I won't. Thank you. Welcome to the Diary of a Developer, the podcast where we go beyond the code into the journeys of tech careers. I'm Prem, founder of Tented Code Academy. In this show, we unpack stories from developer, CTOs, hiring managers, and tech leaders, so you can learn what actually works in today's market, especially the era of AI. If you are an IT student, recent graduate, career switcher, or developer looking to level up, this podcast is for you. Let's get into today's episode. Today, I'm joined by Sumit from Sydney, who brings over 20 years of software development experience. He started as an IT student and worked his way up to becoming a lead engineer. Sumit, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, can you please tell me more about yourself, and then can you share what you do right now?
I am Sumit Baskota. I have been in this software industry from roughly around past 20 years, working mostly primarily as a platform engineer at the moment. So it's a coincidence. I just actually started a new job on the solar fintech. The name of the company is Bright. So my role is pretty much doing all the integration work, like a backend related things. So basically it is about observability and, like maintaining a platform infrastructure. Like there are a lot of things like API design, all the heavy lifting work. Yeah, that's what I will be doing on the new job.
There is a lot of things I'm going to ask throughout the podcast in a way that it's going to help IT students, computer science students to become maybe first junior engineer role, from junior engineer to mid-level to senior. So over the last 20 years, you have gone from literally teaching 20 years ago, teaching artificial intelligence, right now working, building AI solution. So I want to know all your journey, like from literally beginning and how you started your career as a technologist, and now how you become who you are today.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so to be honest, I started all this programming and everything when I was 17 years old, just before the engineering, So I still remember I was doing 10+2, and at that time very few people used to have computer at their home. So I used to go at my sister's home, and then I used to just learn by myself, the old computer where it has all the DOS and everything. I still remember using that Windows 3.1. And I remember doing all the QBasic and everything. I was actually passionate from that time. In the engineering time, I started doing some web project, you know what I mean? So pretty much I used to do a lot of the college project, a lot of the students project I used to do. So that's how my journey was started. Like I used to make some game on a C, and I did the PHP back at 2002.
Oh, wow.
Before I was professional. And then I started the job around 2004. And I would say between 2004 to 2007, it was really rough career. Why I'm saying rough is because at the time there were no resources. I used to have a notepad, and I used to just type everything from the book,
Yeah.
and then compile it and then run it. And you won't see any, useful error and everything at that time. You just used to see internal server error.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what is going on there. Debugging was totally different. The way people used to think was totally different. You know what I mean? So it was entirely different at that time. By the time it got mature, and then I saw the, the baby step. Like how the software evolved from 2002 to 2026 right now. You know what I mean? I normally started with the agency's website, the agencies who used to send the people abroad. So I started from that agency's website where we had no challenges at all. They just want to get the thing done. There was no things like logging. There was no things like CI/CD. There was no things like security or anything. They just want to make sure, we have a website, just do it. It did for them. Website was like a HTML.
Yeah.
And I used to feel so proud just even to connect the database, connecting the database and making the things done. So that was like my early 3-4 years. No learning. It was just doing the repetitive tasks.
Okay.
Getting more customer, building the solution. And then after that, there come the things like framework. There come the things like all the, MVC patterns where we tried out different things like Code Igniter, all the things. At that time, there were no frameworks like Laravel or anything. People rarely think about Node.js. People rarely think about JavaScript. JavaScript was there, but as a client side for a form validation and very basic things, Like most of the people has the assumption like JavaScript is for form validation. Like nobody even used to think about JavaScript is going to build the server-side solution and it's going to be like a king of the web development like it is now.
No, that's true.
It was all a totally different era, right? And at that time, getting job was also a little bit different than now.
True.
I'm not going to compare even with now. Let's go back to 7-8 years back, where people used to think about all the best practices, like all the solid principle, like people used to think about as a developer, they need to think more about their coding skill, and maybe a unit test and all those things. At that time, it was different. They used to ask about the functions. You will get the job if you know the 100 PHP function. Right? Yeah, that's it. Because at the time, resources was like that. Even Google was not helpful. So one of the takeaways I got on my experience was how to evolve yourself, like how I am here, like how I am actually surviving that 20 years in a different way. You always need to survive, I still remember, back at 2006, I did the first e-commerce site.
Okay.
And it was totally different, everything was custom built and all the shopping cart and everything. It was so difficult to build all those interactive things, and then we had a challenge where we need to update the inventory real time.
Okay.
Having said that, there will be someone who is looking at the back office and there is someone do the purchase. They need to have the, the quantity and everything need to be updated real time. That was a big challenge because we don't had anything to have that real-time thing, So there were a lot of things, So we ended up refreshing the page, in every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
There were so many things. But it is all about building the right solution with the best possible resources you have, If the engineer is conscious and is smart enough to build the right solution using the best resource, they will never fall behind.
That's the difference between junior and senior, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. So let's compare to what we have now. Right. And again, I will talk about my journey. Let's compare to what we have now versus let's compare what it was. I don't want to go back even 20 years. Let's go back to 15 years. Right?
Yeah.
And then let's say you need to build a system where you need to export like a PDF, which is 60 pages, right? And then there is always nightmare for a developer because PDF is always heavy, clunky. It will have a lot of the process and everything. So how are you gonna do? That there is a difference, right?
Sure.
So back at like let's say before COVID, like back at 2016, 17, if you need the better solution, there could be a team of like 2, 3 people for that, right? We need a DevOps engineer who need to look after the powerful server, which can do the heavy lifting of PDF. You need one backend engineer who is going to write the library or like do the integration to export to the PDF. And you might need another front-end engineer who is going to make sure all his, graphics and CSS are compatible with the PDF, right? Now it's a different thing. What people expect now is, even in an interview, if they are going to ask like how you are going to export the things to the PDF, nobody is going to worry about the lines of code that is required to export the things to the PDF.
Or actually create the PDF itself.
Yes, exactly, right? What we need now is like, you need to know all the moving parts, right? What are the challenges you will face to export the things to the PDF? How you are going to export the things to the PDF? There are a lot of the things, right? So it is all about knowing all the moving parts. Whether it is 2004 or whether it is 2026, you need to know all the moving parts, right? And if you know all the moving parts, there won't be a problem, right? Like even I have seen some engineer, right? They're so terrified because of these AIs and everything, because they think AI is going to replace the job. For sure, AI is going to replace the job for those engineers who just think AI as a shortcut, So I have seen the developers who try to jump to the AI without even getting a context, right?
Yeah.
So that is the problem, So
What I have seen is more especially happening around the juniors, like IT students or recent graduates or junior developers. They see what senior can do with AI and they comparing with themselves and saying, AI can do that. I don't need to learn to code. But because we senior engineer know how moving parts works, so we know how to do things in sequence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we know what is micro technology we need to use, right?
Correct.
We know the use cases. So, but they skip that part and they think writing code is the main thing when it comes to software development.
Yeah.
And if we look into entire process, I think actually writing code is maybe less than 20% maybe.
Exactly right. I will say writing code is maybe around like 20 to 25%. You still need to build the solution. You still need to make sure the code is written properly. But I do agree with you. In the software life cycle, the first part definitely is to understand the thing, right? So like what are all the components, and after that you need to figure out what benefit that software is going to give to the business. It's more about being more product minded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We call it product developer.
Not a product developer. I would say like a product minded developer. Most of the job interviews process, most of the companies' expectation nowadays is like how much product depth the engineer had. Let's say you are building, I can give the example of the fintech space where I was working for, that call automation. So I was given a task where we had to actually do all the transcription and summarization of the call summary that happens between agent and the customer
In the lifetime.
Yeah, whenever customer is applying for the loan or whenever the customer is applying for the finance, the first process is like they will apply for the loan, and after that, either they will call to the company or company will call back to the customer, and they will ask all the requirement and everything.
Okay.
Right? So at that time, let's imagine there is nothing before the software was built. What was the process? Customer will have a certain call, and then all the business people, BizOps, they need to write the node manually, and they have to it will take a lot of time. So like we have to make a call, we have to write a note, we have to put it somewhere else. And what we did from the software was like, it was like automatically recording that thing, transcribing that thing, and automatically summarizing and doing all the sentiment analysis and everything. Now, as a software engineer, I am not going to think about what solution I need. Right? That is the secondary thing. The primary thing is like how the business is going to get benefited, like how much hour it is going to save for the particular agent, like if everything is automated, So that is the first thing. So because of that, it will actually help the developer to make a clear direction on like how they are going to build the solution, right? If you think about just like writing a code, just delivering a solution, what they will do, like they will just ask the ChatGPT, how can I convert this MP3 to the like text?
Yeah.
If they will get that code, but it's not going to help because that conversation, one of the text is not going to help. At the end, it is about the summary. At the end, about how concise and how punchy and short is the summary. And then that will definitely help, right? Because agent don't need to go through that transcription again. So that is going to save a lot of time. In that case, now they need to think about, okay, what are the best tools that is going to transcribe the MP3? What are the best tools that is going to give the auto summary? Now they need to think about the cost as well. What should we use? Should we use OpenAI? Should we use the MCP server itself? Should we self-host it? It is all the things they need to figure out first, That is nowadays software engineering. It's not about writing a code. It's not about having a CI/CD or all those things. That kind of things will make a big difference, So basically, it is all about having like a self-whiteboarding session first. Not with other people as well. No matter whether they are senior, junior, mid-level, the first thing they need to do is like draw the things, make a diagram, and don't expect AI to make the diagram. That is never going to happen. And one thing I have found is like, see, AI is dumb. Still dumb, right? It all depends on the word reasoning. How smart enough you are, how you are doing the reasoning and everything. It's real. Yeah. So like, if you ask AI like, how can I convert a thing to the PDF? And it could give you some logic like, okay, you can use things like Chrome headless, which will definitely do the PDF. Do you want me to draft a code? And I'll give you everything. And then he will say, no, I think Chrome headless is a bad idea. I just want to do a little bit of like server-side rendering, lightweight solution. And then it will say, oh, that's a pretty good idea. It all depends on how actually developer do interact with all those things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then in order to be able to give instruction to LLM like that, you need to first become developer yourself.
That's right. Yeah.
The hard way. Then only you understand.
That's right. Yeah.
How to give instruction. Yeah. So you solve your pain point using AI.
Yeah.
And most of the time people now, they use byte coding for some UI and okay, all the software engineering down here. And it's really hard to bring this message out there is that, yes, you can write code, you can do some sort of solution, but again, it depends on what's your input.
Yeah.
The output will come accordingly, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And then again, I want to go back to my career. Yep. Because what I have seen, because I have been chatting with few developers, some of them are my relatives. They always try to find a job and they are struggling a lot as well. And some of the experience I gathered while I, had a one-on-one chat with them is like some of them feel like they haven't been, in the proper software journey, so partially they are right as well. So for example, let's say, I still remember writing the code, which was to send the email. Sending the email, doing the attachment, sending BCC at that time, like 15, 16 years back was like a big line of code because you had to do everything by yourself, adding a header. There are a lot of things many people might not know now, right? There is a framework which is going to send the email, and then I still remember one of the hardest problems still I remember, having a drop-down menu. In the drop-down menu, HTML, you will see the combo box, right? Where I had to drop down the country. And on the basis of that, I had to drop down the state. So I still remember it was around like 2004, 2005. Ajax was not there. Not even Ajax was not there. So what we had to do, we had to preload everything, all the country and all the cities. Just imagine how big that JavaScript, that HTML file will be.
And at that time, the resources of the system,
Exactly, right? Yeah.
they used to have maybe less than 2 GB RAM.
Yeah. So, yeah, there were a lot of the challenges, right? But what I'm saying is, like, having said that, if the developer is going through that journey, he will have a clear understanding of the DOM, all the HTML children and parent and all the DOM and everything. And gradually, what happened? The developer will have a very, very strong base. Now, what I am hearing from the junior developer is like, it's very hard to get the base. They're right. They should not try to build the base on the old school things. They need to actually shift the gear, only what they need to do, because now it's a different, so I can compare someone who is like 10, 15 years senior than me. They had a different struggle, right? They used to write a code on maybe like a Cold Fusion, Perl, where the things that they learned, I was not lucky enough to do that, right? But it doesn't matter. It's not about like when it is the things like a industry on the software engineering, you should not look back. You should actually look forward. You should think about what resources you have now, which I already talked, right? What resources you have. And if you are smart enough to figure out what resources you have, you should be able to solve any problem, right? Even for the junior engineer, even for the graduate engineer, the most important thing for them is like, they need to know how the software is built. If let's say you have a mobile app, in the mobile app, what are the things, right? So what kind of mobile app is that? Whether it is the standalone mobile app which is not communicating with any server, or whether it is the mobile app which has a lot of the server side things happening. After that, they can actually draw the diagram. They can figure out all the things. It is all about the architecture first, system designing, not actually the system design, not like just like a conceptual diagram. You don't need to know about whether the system is built on the AWS or Google Cloud platform. You need to know from the cloud perspective. So as a developer, they need to, not as a developer, so like as a software engineer, they need to think as a, like a cloud agnostic and a language agnostic. And after that, once they have a clear concept of how everything works, like how the basic HTML work, the entire life cycle of like if you do www.xyz.com, how the DNS is resolved, how actually there is a communication between client and server, those basics matter. So, and with the help of that, I guess people should be able to solve any kind of the problem.
And then gradually move to AI codes and tools, and
of course,
and then do the repeating task.
Not only repetitive task. Now see, company also want the developer to be productive. They'll be more than happy. Even the developer do the vibe code. There's no issues, right? Actually, I have seen companies now actually building the tools and everything, which is going to auto-generate all the code and everything on the basis of the instruction. Because that is going to save a lot of resources. They can actually think on building the better solutions rather than, having the developers just writing a code. So it's okay. But the most important thing is they should be able to understand what AI has given to them rather than blindly copying the thing and deploying it in a production. That is one thing which I have seen as a red flag nowadays. I have, because I was open to the market, and then I actually had a lot of interviews, and I actually learned a lot from those interviews as well. Even the interviews pattern are very different nowadays.
Okay.
Very few companies, they will ask you to write a code. Because they know, right? Because they know. And then they also know like coding is like the skill which cannot be avoided.
But it's like not the requirement of now. It's like a baseline.
Yes.
And everybody else on the top of that.
So of course it is there. But now what I have found is like most of the company, they actually focus on the whiteboarding, and they actually focus on code reviews. One of the best thing I liked about the best interview process was like having a complex problem written in a very monolithic way,
Okay.
and then ask the developer, okay, can you identify a few issues there? You know what I mean? That, and then in that case, you can evaluate the reasoning for that developer, like how smart they are to identify the issues and everything, how smart they are to like speed up from the legacy code base. It's a bit of reality. Most of the business, whenever they start a business, they don't think about the quality, because first they need to deliver. Yeah, right. After the things are delivered, after they get the client, now there will be the time for like, okay, now we need to make sure we'll have a proper unit test. We will have like good scaling policies. We'll have the things that which is working for 10 customers should easily work for like thousands or millions of customers. In that case, so they will hire a developer. And at that time, the developer will be given the code, so they will be thrown a ocean to stream. Now it's totally different, because I remember a few years back, the onboarding session used to be very, very like time consuming. They used to give you the time, like, okay, so these are the code, take your time, 1 month, 2 month, I don't mind. But now it's not like that.
No.
1 week. Yeah, okay. Now we have to do the things. So the reason I am talking about this is that's where your coding skills come. That's where your skill to debug the code will come. So as a developer, they should be smart enough to add a breakpoint and then debug line by line, figure out what's going on rather than asking senior and getting an answer. So that skill is something which will be never replaced by AI. No, you need to know, right? You need to know the flow and everything. So as a developer, I think for like a junior engineer, that is one thing they need to brush up. Like maybe try out something from the GitHub repository. There are a lot of open sources. Try to download that and see how it is done. Try to add a breakpoint. See how all the variables and everything are propagated from, from the line 1 to line 100. Yeah, that will make a huge difference.
True.
Yeah.
And then learn to maybe break down the function.
Correct.
Go to more reusable solution.
Yeah.
And start optimizing it. See if you can reduce the line of the code, reduce the execution context and everything else. I think that's where your coding skill really shines, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, right? So I have one very good example. So one of my friend, he's like a junior to me. So he's a mid-level engineer. He's actually looking for the job from like past 6-7 months. He's really struggling. And I had a chat with him, and I asked him like, okay, what is the problem? And he was telling me, nowadays I'm building all the solutions from AI, and I'm not confident enough on the syntax. That was his problem. And I told him, don't worry about syntax. Syntax you can learn.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of the things like, even in JavaScript, there are a lot of the syntax, right?
Yeah.
And it is really hard to understand all the syntax, but then I told him, okay, don't worry about syntax, just understand the things. You need to know like when to use array, when to use object, what are the best ways to iterate over the arrays. Think about that. And if you really struggle about those things, you can easily explain that to interviewer. You can tell them your problem, like, because you were in a company which was very fast paced and they wanted me to deliver the things so quickly, leveraging on all the AI solutions. They will understand that, right? If they don't understand that, maybe you are not like, they don't deserve you. You know what I mean? Because they are also smart enough. So that is one thing which I have found. Developers are lacking the self-confidence.
Yeah, I think in that case, what do you think they should do so that they keep your confidence up? Also leverage the tools.
Yeah, correct. So one of the things they can do is like they should be able to write a code with the AI, right? No matter whether it's a live coding, they should be able to write a code with AI. And when they write a code with AI, people are not going to worry about if the developer is seeking AI help for the syntax. They are pretty much focused on how they are building the solution.
The thought process.
Thought process, exactly, right? So I shared one of my journey on LinkedIn as well. They asked me to build a snake game. And you know the snake game? Yeah, you used to have in the Nokia mobile where you have a coordinator and everything.
Yes.
What they did, the day before they told me, we will be giving you the snake game.
Okay.
You need to do the live coding.
Oh wow,
That's it. That's a good thing because many people might not know about the snake game.
is that purely DOM based or the
It was the console based,
console?
not the UI. Okay, they don't want UI. So what they advised me was like, okay, you will get the snake game. And I asked like, okay, so how should I run the snake game? Do I need to build a UI? There's not all UI. And then they asked me like, you just need to design a grid, you just need to design a coordinate, and you just need to set the expectation. What will be the movement if you go left? What will be the movement if you go up, right? You know, that was the thing, and then I just kept it simple. I thought about, I did not thought about all the complex thing, like if snake is going to eat the food, snake size would be double. These are all the hard thing, right? I kept it simple because it will be difficult to do all those things in 1 hour interview.
Yeah.
An interviewer is not going to expect the full package solution. If you're going to make a full package solution, they will be suspecting like that, oh, this guy did a lot of the AI preparation, So I kept it simple. I just had a simple solution where, you have like a one dimensional array, 9 by 9, grid by 9 by 9, and I define the boundary when the snake will exit to the left, right, top, bottom, and everything. And then, instead of actually doubling the snake size when it eat the food, I just had a logic to doubling the speed, which is easy, right? You can simulate the speed and everything. It's all about how you want to solve the problem. So, and for that, like for all the array related function, all the things, I actually use the AI tools. So yeah, that's the thing. And I was on the next round. Yeah, know what I mean?
I think, like, for example, if let's say I am interviewer, you're interviewer, and if I give this same solution to somebody and we allow them to use AI tool, for example, which is gonna be common, but by looking at the way they ask question or write the prompt to generate the next test, we can easily tell how much that person know.
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah. And it's all about how are you going to interact with the interviewer, right?
Yeah.
So in my past experience, now in this 2026 AI era, the most of the interview, I found three kind of interviews.
Okay.
One was like a take home task,
Yeah.
and one was like the code review,
Yeah.
and another was like the live coding.
Yeah.
I didn't got an opportunity for that BSA things.
Usually DSA is for either Fang or some like junior to mid. That's what I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right. So especially senior, the mid to senior, they get like light coding and more other
Yeah,
proper solution.
correct, right? So that's what I found. And then, in a take home task, one thing I found interesting was like the deep diving session after that. The deep dive session is the one which is going to easily identify the skills and how they did the things. So the first thing they will ask, like, how you did the solution. So for me, like, my first answer was, see, I built everything in the top of a dopper, so it will be super easy for you to set up. Mm. So that's the answer, right?
Okay.
And then after that, okay, and then he will ask the different question. It depends, right? It depends. And then there will be the question about what are the limitations of the solution, why you build it in this way. So it is all about that. And sometimes what they do is like they will ask you to make a small modification. Like, okay, you have the listing. So if you need to add the pagination, what do you need to do? Right? So those are the things. It is all about knowing the mindset, knowing the competence, how they solve the problem. You know, so that's pretty much it in terms of like getting a job and in terms of getting more confidence on the current software engineering solution.
Yeah, some of the people have before. So, guys, again, if you are listening here and you use the AI tool to write the code as part of your day-to-day work or learning, but you don't have confidence, then this is what you need to do. Learn to solve the problem. Maybe you can think about reverse engineering. Think the final output first and then come back one step down. What has to happen to get to that stage? And then one step further down. And then start building solution. And then do like what Sumiti just said, use that strategy to learn to build a solution, build your thought process so you gain the confidence. I think confidence is the basically lack of knowledge that is approved by third person, I believe, right?
I would say partially yes. Confidence, I would say, is like a leadership skill. You don't need to be tech lead or lead software engineer to get the leadership skill. It is about like how you demonstrate the problem to other people. What is your ability to, intake the problem from other people, understand that, and then ask right question at the right time. Right. Yeah, because that depends a lot, especially when you were looking for the job and when you were trying to solve the problem, especially for the junior and mid-level engineer. What I have found is like not able to ask the right question. Yeah, that is giving a lot of problem as well.
Yeah, I think that has to do with some communication skill as well.
Yeah.
In the work environment. I have a quick note. How do you differentiate the junior developer versus mid-level developer? This is for somebody who is in the market looking for roles.
Right. I will actually differentiate using the thought process. I'm not going to see the numbers. For me, the developer who is working for 1 year could be mid-level as well. And the developer who has been working since like 3-4 years could be still junior as well. It depends on how they are working. That's some thought process. Because what happens is like how they think themselves. As a junior developer, if they always are dependable, they will be junior forever, right? True. I have worked with a lot of developers, like I have seen the developers who actually stepped up from like a junior engineer to lead engineer even in 5 years.
Oh wow.
And I have seen few developers who are still working as a junior developer for like 5-6 years. It depends on the skill set they have, the way they interact with people, the way they ask questions to the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the very good example is like, let's say you hired the two developers at the same time, both of them doing the same work. Let's say I hired them on my own startup, Cleancalls.ai, and I wanted them to build the inbound and outbound call. So engineer A, let's say the proactive one, will ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
From the day one, he will be asking, okay, what is inbound call? What is outbound call? What are the expectations? What you want me to build? Rather than asking like, which language you want? Should it be JavaScript? So it's all about thinking about a problem first. So once they think about a problem, they should be able to solve it easily. And more problem they solve, more faster they will, faster they will be, progressing to their career. So it's all about providing the proper solution with the resources they have. In this current 2026 in AI era, the only point that can differentiate the junior and mid-level engineer is with the reasoning skills.
Okay.
Right, that's a one liner.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so you have worked already many juniors. You have mentored them as well. So and have hired as well. Have helped company hiring process as well. So what do you look into juniors when you're hiring?
Right, the first thing is confidence. By asking couple of questions, we should be able to understand how passionate are they and how confident they are and their hunger to enter in the software industry, right? So that is a thing I will look. I will treat that programming and all those problem solving skill as a secondary skill. The primary skill for them is like how easily they can understand the problem and how they are interacting. So that's what I will ask. Like being a graduate engineer, you should not ask them all the like technical skills, right? You need to ask, but in a different way, right? So that's the thing. So for example, let's say I want to hire a developer who will be working in a TypeScript space. I'm not going to ask them all the TypeScript related question on that interview. I will be asking him about like, let's say I will give you one problem. You need to build the API, which is just going to pull the data, like a weather data, and then you want to show it in your UI. So what will be your plan? So they don't need to worry about login and everything because the weather data is always public.
Yeah.
So I will just want to understand their basic concept, like how they think about API, how they think about all the front end and back end, all the communication and everything. Because the basic assumption will be like someone who is stepped up in the market for the junior software engineer must have done that homework.
Yeah.
This would have already that kind of thing in a mindset, and it all depends on how they are going to explain that, right? There will be the people explaining those things in a two-way. Some people will say like, oh, I'm going to, have the API call, and then I'm just going to show it in the HTML. And some people will be thinking about like, I will first go through the API documentation of that weather API, and then I will see what are the best practices that will make the fetching of the API to the UI will be easier. There is a huge difference between those two answers. Exactly. Yeah. So that's how we should be able to, analyze the skill set of the junior engineer, like how they think about the problem rather than like how they think about writing a code.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Guys, if you're listening and if you're a junior, learn to build a solution, build your thought process in a way that mid engineer or a senior engineer too, even though you're a junior, you can build that skills. And that skills will only come after building actual projects multiple times.
Hmm.
So if somebody watching right now who is working for a couple of years in the industry and planning to move up to the mid-level engineer,
Yeah.
so how should they prepare?
For the mid-level engineers, so my expectation will be like they will have a basic understanding of system design, coding, working with AI and everything, So actually, I would ask with few problems. Let's relate the same weather thing. The only difference will be the weather data is not exposed in the API. It is sitting in the AWS S3 bucket.
Okay.
Right? That's it. And then I will ask them like how they are going to fetch the data from the AWS S3 bucket. Now I can easily identify their thought process, how they understand about all the moving part and everything, right?
Yeah.
So they need to think about how to securely connect to the AWS, and then how to fetch the data from the S3 bucket, how to think about caching and everything. Like if the data has been already fetched, how to make sure we are not fetching that again. So it's all about how they think about the solution
In production,
in the production grade, right? Because what happened is like, let's change the topic. Let's say not the weather data. I will say that's too small for right. Let's say the exchange rate. Okay, right. Let's say the cryptocurrency price. Okay. Let's say Bitcoin, Ethereum price, and everything. Yeah. And you don't need to be in the S3 bucket. Let's say it is in the public one. I will ask them like, okay, you need to build a real time dashboard which is going to show the price of the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever is there, and then how you're going to design it, right? So that then we can easily identify there or what kind of things they are going to talk, whether they are going to talk about the casing things, because that will change then every second. Yeah, right. The crypto price is going to change then every second. So what are their thought process? What are the plan to make sure they are not hitting the API in every second. You know what I mean? And they need to think about how many users are there, what are all the concurrency and everything are there. It is the proper way to identify the mid-level skill.
yeah, it's no longer just the coding.
It's still coding, but on the top of that, there is a if you try to give the same solution to 20 developer, you will get the 20 different solution. Some developer might be doing like sending the HTTP request in every 5 seconds, and they will be updating their UI.
Yeah.
Some developer might be doing like, okay, I want to make it like a WebSocket. Yeah. And then whenever the data is changed, I want to broadcast to my client. That's a better solution. Yeah. And there could be some other solution. Whenever you hire the mid-level engineer, coding things are secondary. So what I will do the first screening with his thought process, because I know they will be able to give the solution anyhow. Yeah. Right. And after that, maybe then there will be the coding round. It will be like pretty much like a take-home task. And then we will talk about like a solid principle and then like a unit test, like how you're going to make the things testable, all those things.
That's great. Hey guys, if you are preparing for mid-level roles, make sure you can do all those things and more. Okay, because we probably can't cover every single thing, but you need to start thinking about senior engineer, even though you're going for mid-level, and build the solution with scalable in mind, higher performance, and if you can look into the cost as well once you deploy into the server. I think that would be plus point for you as well.
Yeah, and one common mistakes I have seen in the mid-level developer is like they sometimes start with like I am a front-end developer, I am a back-end developer.
Oh yes,
So it's okay, right? Everyone will have a preference. For me, like I will say like I'm like 80%, 90% back-end developer, but I can still contribute in the front end. I know about the life cycle things that we have in a front end.
Yeah.
So as a developer, it is very important nowadays to be a full stack.
It is.
Because let's say even if you are hired as a backend developer, you will be collaborating a lot with the front end developer. You need to provide an API for the front end developer without even asking them. Nowadays, because of all this globalization and everything, you need to work with the different people in a different globes, right? Like people from Australia need to collaborate with people from Ukraine or Philippines, and time zone might be the issue, and it will be really hard to back and forth collaboration just for those APIs and everything. So there should be the common understanding. So all the expectation and everything you need to know. You need to know about the ICD. You need to know about actually the infrastructure. So that is the bare minimum expectation for the mid-level engineer. So I know it depends on what sort of job they were doing before, but it is very important for the mid-level engineer to be a quick learner. For example, I might be like, let's say I was working as a junior developer in a company where everything was on Google Cloud Platform. Now I'm setting up on a company as a mid-level engineer and they have a AWS, right? So now you should not be vendor locked in. You need to think about the SQS and the AWS could be something else in the Google Cloud Platform. As the end is the same logic.
You can think about solution, correct, and then add the name and process.
Yes. So it is very important to know about the infrastructure, backend, front end, CI/CD, and the overall process.
That's true. This is for especially a lot of people and graduates. Do degree matters for developers?
That's a very, very hard question. It might not matter here, but I will still recommend, I mean, degree will help them, For example, let's say someone who actually did a high school and then after that they started doing a blind software engineering, like doing all the software engineering things versus who actually did all the proper IT degree. What happened is like one of the things that the degree can help is your communication skill because you would be already interacting with your teachers, you would be already doing some projects, you would be already learn how to work on the teamwork and everything, so there is no significant difference in nowadays, but still I will say having a degree is a big point.
I think what I understand is from you is that it's a degree, but what you do during the degree matters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because what I do is like maybe I have consulted over 1,000 students right now. And what I have found is the degree holder and not degree holder, most of them pretty much are in the same. And then who have more passion of learning and solving problem learns to develop system faster. And then when you get a two resume, one can have a degree, another don't have a degree but can explain the system better. Correct. And you're right. For optimized version, it can suddenly that person can communicate well.
That candidate will have like more A's, Yeah, because definitely the expectation nowadays is like how quickly they can adapt to the new solution, and then how quickly they can solve the problem. Yep, I do agree with that.
Yeah. And then even like global data was, I think 35, I think last year 35 plus. I haven't seen the latest data. 35% plus engineers are self-made engineer.
Yep, of course, right? Of course.
It's all about, guys, your project, your hard work, and your ability to solve the problem and explain. That will help you get the job. Okay, now we want to get into the AI. So in 2006, you taught artificial intelligence.
Right.
You learned at that time. Honestly, I didn't even know what is AI at that time. So, and versus we are in 2026, it's like 20 years apart.
At the time, AI was mostly the theoretical thing. When I say theoretical thing, it was like how to solve the problem. There was like an algorithm. Core of the AI is more about neural network and going through the nodes and everything. I still remember that day we have the two solutions, breadth first search and a depth first search. So you have a tree, decision tree. In the decision tree, how deep you can do, or like how much horizontal you can do. You'll have a massive algorithm and everything. So we used to solve the problem like, have you heard about the problem where you have in one side of a river you have a three goat, in one side of a river you have a tiger, and how you are going to take the goat, save the goat and tiger together, making sure tiger is not going to eat the goat. So the logic is like in one boat, if you have a one goat and two tiger, the goat are safe. So that kind of the problem used to be the curriculum in the AI at that time. Wow. And no one had an idea about like AI is going so much advanced nowadays, So it is all about the past, but that they are all the best, Though that problem solving skill is still going to help us in this day. Having said that, because nowadays 99.999% like IT professional are the consumer of the AI.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever agentic AI we have, whatever things we are doing, Cloud or all the ChatGPT, we are not building AI solution. We are consuming the AI, ready-made AI solution to make it fit in our day-to-day business activity. We are not building the AI. If you need to build the same thing, all the concept that we have been learning from 2000, 2006, 2007, we still need that, right? There are many of founders level. Yeah, exactly, right? So many people is still confused saying like, oh, I have used AI, so it looks really good on a paper, right? But the people who know about that, they can easily figure out like nowadays it's pretty easy, right? It's just about calling the API. You need to have a token for like OpenAI token, and then you will have a prompt design, and everything will be done by then. So like, so let's talk about the solution which I am doing on my startup, Cleancalls.ai.
Yeah.
That is also AI, right? But I am not building the AI solution. I am actually building the solution using AI.
So on the top of the AI.
On the top of the AI, yes, right? That make a difference. For example,
90% AI startups are like that.
exactly. And there is a misconcept, it looks very good in terms of the marketing and everything. People use, oh, we have AI. But it is like we are actually utilizing the AI to solve the problem. That we are not building the AI. So the the answer to your question, the AI that I was teaching in 2006 was the fundamental concept of the AI, all the algorithms and all the neural network and everything, versus the AI which we have now is the applied AI.
Applied AI.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
So I think it will help, especially the graduates, if we can explain the difference between AI engineers and ML engineers.
Yeah.
I think if we can explain what is their role and what they need to know, I think they have a better understanding.
Yeah, I mean, see, the machine learning engineers are the one who actually train the model. They train the model. They need to know about all the, algorithms and everything, So actually, I was very lucky to get a chance to work with those ML ops as well. One of the very interesting project I did back at 2000, right after the COVID was evaluating the flight risk of the employee. Like, what is the probability that employee is going to leave the company?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at that time, we don't had any those, those AI were still not there. That was 2021. So I had an opportunity to work with the machine learning engineer. His way was totally different. He had to write the code in a Python. I don't know what he used to write, but I just know like he used to do all the training sets and everything. He used to do all the training data sets and everything, algorithm and everything. So that was the proper machine learning for me. Where actually human will put all the input, human effort are there, where they need to train the model. Yeah. So for example, if I need to identify a flight risk, I need to know all the metrics, your metrics, right? How often, like how long you are in a company, how many times you had a pay rise, how many times you have a performance review.
Yes.
All those things. On the basis of that, they do all those training things. I remember he was using something from AWS TensorFlow or something.
TensorFlow, yeah.
I can't exactly remember.
Yeah.
But so that is the difference. The AI engineer are the one who actually build the AI solution.
Yeah.
And the applied AI engineer like me, I am not an AI engineer, right? I am a software engineer, but I want to leverage all the AI solution so that it can fit my purpose, like a software purpose.
Yeah.
So there is a huge difference. Many people are mistaken if they know the prompt engineering, if they know how to use the agentic AI, if they know how to use all the, cloud AI and all the LLM model, they are not AI engineer, not at all.
Are you using AI in development in production, and what are the use cases of AI or LLMs?
In my day-to-day life, like I am using AI in two ways. One is like AI as a code assistant. Mostly when I have already when I have the things already done, and when I need to add something on the top of that. Let's say I have one monolithic project where I need to add something on the top of that. What I do is I will do the basic code craft using the AI assistant, and then having the I use the IntelliJ editor. In the IntelliJ editor, there is an AI assistant which actually do the code craft. Where you can have like whatever LLM model you want. Versus sometimes what I do is like if I need to do the quick prototype, Quick prototype is like business want to validate the idea. Like, okay, we need to build something to make sure whether it work or not. If it work, we want to have like a 5-6 pilot client within like a 1-2 months. In that case, I will do the vibe coding as well because I need to validate that idea. Right. But when I do those things, I always make sure to review the things, thoroughly double check everything. One of the thing what I found is like AI is not going to help you on the like writing the testable code. Like AI is not going to help you to have a solid principle, the signal responsibility and everything. So it is your responsibility. You need to identify that by yourself. So now to your answer to like having shipping the AI based code to the production, it's okay, right? You can definitely ship the AI based code to the production. But having said that, it should be well tested. It should have all the unit tests and all the integration tests, whatever is required for the production grade thing. That is okay because we already discussed whenever you are going to ship something in a production, it is not only code. Yeah, it is the entire ecosystem. True. Right? Yeah. So it's okay, right? Nowadays, as I mentioned, business always expect you to use AI. If you are not going to use it, you will be behind. Yeah. Everyone is going to take over you as well.
That's true. In the past company or recent company you haven't even started. So in the past company, where their AI code generative tools been used and how much productivity was seen?
A lot, right? So I think all these started emerging from early 2023, I guess. So I actually started from like copy pasting everything to ChatGPT to the current one where we have this AI assistant, right? So in terms of the productivity, I will say like it's very hard to quantify that because it depends on like what business is expecting as well. But what I will say, like the things that used to take like 6-7 days, AI can do in like 2-3 hours as well. Okay. It depends, right? So for example, if you want to build very heavy front end system where you have a lot of the drop down menu, where you have a lot of the interaction, where you have all the fancy things, definitely AI is going to help. But if you want to build something, right, let's say you want to build the solution where you need to worry about the security, where you need to worry about scaling the things, at that time, you might not get that much advantage. Because in that case, what happened is like human first, AI second. There are two kind of problem that I have seen. The first one is like AI first, human second, and another one is like a human first, AI second. It totally depends on you, like when you want to leverage AI versus when you want to have your reasoning first, when you want to have all the solution validated from your end first, and then ask AI.
I think we are not very far from the end. There are a few rapid fire type of questions for you. What's your best LLMs?
That's pretty hard.
At the moment, maybe it might change in a month.
Yeah, I will still say GPT 5.2 because that is fitting very good purpose on my startup as well in the Cleancalls.ai when I am actually doing that real time question and answer between AI and the human. So it is fitting the purpose in terms of the cost and everything as well. Yeah.
What's your go-to coding AI tool?
For that, I use Cloudy.
Yeah, okay. What are the, let's say, top 3 or 5 tools that you use with AI?
So I use GPT and then I use Cloudy, all the Sonnet and everything. Yeah, they're more than enough. And then I use like a Copilot for the code reviews and everything. That I think that is actually fitting my purpose.
Best career decision you made?
Stepping down from the lead to the senior developer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Because it depends on the personality as well, right?
Yeah.
I actually was focusing more on like solving the problem rather than the people management. And so when I do the people management, I used to feel really distracted.
Okay, so you see yourself more like technologist who is in this round.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Worst technical decision you made?
Yeah, I think one of the worst technical decision I made was like I was working on one startup, and then they actually wanted to build something quickly in like 2 months, and that startup was like a very brand new startup. But at that time, I was just transitioning from like mid to senior.
Okay.
I over engineered. I thought about CI/CD. I thought about Docker and everything. And that 2-month project it took like almost like 6-7 months, and company had to bear a lot of loss because of that. I mean, it depends on what you are building, right? So when you have a zero customer, you don't need to worry about scaling and everything. Yes, you need to, but you don't need to worry too much about, like, let's say, like, oh, I want to have this in a Kubernetes. You don't need that, right? No. So that was that. There were few things, and you don't even need the CI/CD for the very first deployment. You just need to get the shit done. Agree. So that was that was the mistake I did, and after that, I never had that kind of situation again.
Yeah. Currently, we are on a process to deploy one of our next startup, the AI first startup. And then we went through that, me and our senior engineer. Should we plan to go to Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, or GCP,
Yeah, exactly.
And then I said, no, we don't have client get or user. Maybe we'll have 100 user like the
correct.
customer facing application. So we can even just spin one droplet and let's go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we scaled down our thought just to make it reliable. One book, course, or resources you'd recommend to every developer.
For all the developer, I will recommend to, you know, like how to write a clean code. There is one article I forgot, Uncle Bob or something.
Yeah, Uncle Bob is very big on writing clean.
Yeah.
He's more, I think, C based on C plus plus or C.
Yeah. I can't even remember, but I was really impressed by that. I did a lot of reading. That is one and only resource I have ever read in my career. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is great. I have seen some of his videos as well. What is next for you? What do you see yourself in next 3 to 5 years, especially with the AI?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I will be still in the same position, but in the next, I want to make myself like 10 times more productive than what I am now.
Okay.
The way I think will be different. Yeah, but I won't say like, oh, by end of the like a 5 year I would be like a CTO or something. That's not I want to say. It's all about how you solve the problem and how productive you will be. For me, positions, it doesn't matter.
Any final advice for someone trying to become a senior engineer or starting their own thing?
I think we talked about this many times, right? It's all about the thought process, and the passion. They need to be passion hungry, So think the software engineering not as a job, as a passion, right? When they solve the problem, they should be able to think it as a playing a game.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right?
Level of the game.
And when you are going to run a business, first you need to know what problem you are going to solve, rather than just blindly trying out the things. Because to be honest, I had like a 20, 30 failed ideas.
Yeah.
More than that. The most important thing is like know your shit.
Yeah.
What is important, like what they are going to build, how they are going to build, before how they need to know what they are building.
Yeah.
When they know what they are building, and after that, how is something which we can figure out in years and years, because how will take time, Yeah, I think that is more than enough for someone who is pursuing their career as senior or even as a lead. Yeah.
Okay. You have started your own, let's say, hobby project or the startup, Cleancalls AI. You wanna talk a little bit about?
It is trying to fill the gap where, people need to answer a lot of the question. Also, it is going to fill the gap where people need to set up the physical phone. So one good example of cleancalls.ai is like this session could be done over the phone. You can ask me a lot of the question, and I will be doing all the answer, and it will be auto transcribed, and it will give you like 100-line summary what we talked. You know what I mean? That is one example. And another example is like, let's say you want to set up a call center, where you want to have your interviews, like offshore interviews to hire a developer. So at that time, what you can do, like you can outsource that thing to somewhere else. You can outsource it to India or Philippines, wherever you want. The only thing they need to do is like just set up Cleancalls.ai and have some agent available, and they can do inbound and outbound call easily. So like what I found in the business now is like the cost they are spending for the call center. They need to hire the receptionist, they need to hire the business operational people, they need to train them with all the domain and everything, so that cannot be fully replaced, but we can partially replace that, right? So you can have a good AI prompt, which can actually have a good training data set, Yeah. And then whenever customer, you know, call to the business, AI should be able to answer the very, very basic query. And after that, what happened is like that AI conversation already will capture a lot of the leads, and after that, when human try to interact the customer, he or she already will have a context about what they want. It's all about making the business more productive, and then utilizing the manpower to more innovative things rather than just talking to the customer.
Right, right. I wish you good luck on this kind of. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Is there anything you think we should have discussed that would have helped our aspiring engineers?
There are few things, but we already talked about the confidence. We already talked about, like how they should step up from mid to junior to senior. But what else I think we should cover was like how to improve the soft skills.
Yep.
So how to balance your ego and your passion, you know, because I have seen
Can you share more on?
like, yeah, of course, right. Like being a software engineer, when I just started the software engineering role, I used to think like, oh, I know everything. And I was very, very reluctant to get a feedback. If someone used to suggest, advise me something, I used to be very defensive, like, oh, no, why? That used to be my problem. And I saw these kind of things especially with the developers, because what happened is like when you do the software development early days, mostly you won't be talking with people, right? You will be just writing a code.
Just taking the ticker.
Yeah, yeah. Like most likely you will be talking with product owner, product manager, business analyst, and then just write a code. And then there comes like whenever there is like a feedback loop, always, always, always struggling. Yeah. So I think one thing we need to train the software engineer is like how to be the good listener, how to digest the constructive feedback, you know, and how to ask the proper question. Yep. That's it.
That's great advice. Guys, we are towards the end of this show. I hope, guys, you have taken notes and you have found some really valuable information that's going to help you build your career. And at the end, I always ask my guest if you have any question for me.
I think even on this interview, we covered most of the things about all the career progression and everything. But I don't think we talked about like your aspirations and everything. I have definitely one question that is like, what actually triggered you for this kind of initiative, right? Where you were running a podcast.
Oh, okay. And then that code. Yeah, yeah. I've been sharing this a lot in many channels. It's a long story, but I want to wrap it up in a very short session. Like I started coding early 2000, yeah, and in Australia I started becoming developer from 2013. Even though I was extremely good at coding, like as a coder programmer, and could do write very well program, I came in Australia in 2008, but still struggled to get the job. I couldn't find until 2013. I had to create my own job. So that's a funny story. Interesting. Yeah. I get into the company, created the system for them, and then make the money for them and get into the developer role. And fast forwarding to 2019, I used to work in the startup community and then do a lot of startup founding things. And what happened was I wanted to create a new startup with one of my founder. And I was thinking, instead of me writing code for next 6 months, I want to hire somebody who is especially IT students, train them for next 3 months. I'm hiring 3 full stack intern, training them for first 3 months, and then maybe taking another 3 months benefit from them. And then by doing that, if my startup get funding, I'll hire them, or at least I have MVP and they have experience and I help them place in the industry. So I made the ad on this, and I really didn't get much application. So I got around 100 applicants. And when I say I didn't get many, because primarily I'm being Nepalese, I was expecting more like my own community. I'm not racist or anything. It's because like more I want to work with my own community. Like this is like a community.
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
And then when I looked through the application, I found less than 5 Nepalese applicants out of 100. And then I was working in the previous company where it's an e-commerce platform. And then from that experience, when my boss was hiring somebody in warehousing, picking, packing, he used to let me process the application. And when we put for one warehouse janitor, we get 200-300 applications. And guess what? More than 70% applicants were Nepalese there. And most of them are IT degree or IT degree holder. And you see, I got that huge gap.
Got it. Yeah.
And then after some time, it started tingling my brain. And then I even made a post about this in one of the Nepalese Facebook community. Hey guys, I just want to know, is this Nepalese, they are not looking for IT career or software engineering career, or everybody is already in the career? This is what I have seen in just 6 months. And then a lot of people did comment on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good comment, bad comment, hate comment, slash back comment. But the couple of comments really hit me hard was saying, okay, Nepalese believe more on physical strength than mental strength. Other comment, nobody gives job to international student. It's a white collar job, is not for us. That kind of message.
Right.
I got it. And
The mix of the frustration and experience and everything, right?
And because I have already built my career in the industry and I know exactly what company are looking for, I know what happens. And reading that comment it's like undigestible for me.
Very true. Yeah.
And it started bothering me like, no, it has to be cleared out.
Yeah.
Message has to go there and people needs to know.
And you proved it as well.
Yes. And then since then, my mission was to impact. Like I really struggle. I suffer a lot during 2008 to 2013 until I started writing my better pay, better job. And I see the same struggle. I hate this struggle. And I want to eradicate that struggle.
Very true.
So
yeah.
that's why I think it's like my calling. And I started doing Tinted Core, even though it was purely based on our own community when I started. But the problem is same for everybody.
Very interesting.
So that's how I'm in a mission to literally impact 1 million tech engineers, 10,000 entrepreneurs.
And then when we started, you were the teacher, or
I was the teacher, and then I still do the few parts. Especially now, we have trainers, software engineers, who actually works in our own software development agency, and we like split the resources. And I do more like career and system, very mindset, and then placement side. So this is how all came together.
yeah, that's so promising. Yeah, really impressive. Good job.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your time and your experience.
I will wish you all the best, and I will be following your channel more from now.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the comments. Thank you. Hey guys, thanks for staying and listening all the way to the end. If this episode helped you, please make sure to subscribe and share it with the fellow developers. If you are serious about accelerating your career in tech, please check the link below. We run industry-focused program to help you become tech professional faster. Until next time, keep building.